What's up, everybody? This is Keng El Bey, and I'm going to be dropping some more video. Like today, I'm dropping this video, and I'm going to show you how to protect yourself from government encroachment. And I'm going to go over, start with the state constitution. So, drop this. So, I just want to let everybody know how to be setting up yourself and protecting yourself. Everyone is so excited about this trust information, but I don't think everyone know how to appropriate the information to ensure the integrity of the process. So I'm doing another video. I'm just going to be dropping series of videos, and I'm going to be dropping them so people can start getting a better comprehension, so we can better appropriate this information in this Moorish movement, so we can better protect ourselves and our private property. You got to understand, you're going to make some minimal contacts, but you got to understand minimal contact also swing both ways. If anyone who's been following me, you know that I'm always talking about private rights and private property. I'll go into another video showing you where there's a such thing as private treaties and public treaties, private international law and public international law, and those things like that, and those different concepts and arrangements of definitions to show you how to protect yourself and how to create a service corporation for your instrumentalities on how to protect your private property. So first we want to look at the state constitution, because this is where you're going to create your entities. You may use other things I'll get into talking about privatizing yourself through using trademarking, imaging. It's called the right of publicity on a state level and stuff like that, in which you can utilize to make sure you maintain personal control over certain entities or of your image and likeness. But I say that for another show. I want to go into under the Bill of Rights. This is the Ohio Constitution Bill of Rights, and it states, private property shall ever be held inviolate. Now, what that means is they can never violate your private property rights. Never. But it also say it should be subservient to the public welfare. This is another key, and this is why a lot of Moors is having a trouble, because they don't know how to contract and they don't know how to set up their entities as service corporations. So a lot of us don't understand this and how to go about this. I know a lot of people talk about where they're using the federal constitution and where private property shall be taken for public use, and compensation therefore shall first be made in money. So you got to understand this. And then it says such compensation should be assessed by a jury without deduction for benefit to any property of the owner. So, but I really want you to look at this first sentence right here, because this is very important. Private property should never be violated, pretty much, but subservient to the public welfare. So it already tell you how you should be coming up, and most of you don't understand to follow these instructions. Now let's go on to Ohio Constitution and look at this. I want you to look at this. It says all men have a natural and indefeasible right to worship Almighty God according to the dictates of his own conscience. So you got to understand this word right here, indefeasible, and you have a right to worship God in your own conscience, your own moral beliefs. So you have a right to create your own constitution on how you want to live your life based upon your moral concept of life and how you worship your God. Nobody can strip you of that. No one can make you honor and pledge allegiance to something that you don't believe in. So this is another um, um, crucial element when you're looking at the Constitution that you need to understand. But I want you to look at this right here. It says, nor shall any interference with the right of the conscience be permitted. So they can't even interfere with your moral conception of how you want to set things up for yourself, especially when you set it up in the form of private property. You have the right to dictate how you do everything to your morality. Morality dealing in your business affairs. Morality dealing in your everyday affairs, your personal, your family life. Because when you're talking about business, you're actually talking about family business. Let's keep it pushing though. I don't want to get too long. I'm trying to keep these videos short. But this is equivalent, I think, to the Fourth Amendment, the right of people to be secure in their persons, house, papers, and possessions against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. So when you understand how to set your stuff in trust, you gotta remember this. This is crucial. And I don't think a lot of people understand this information and how to set their stuff up. Now, I'm showing you this because these are instructions. And you have to understand how to read this information so that you can set up your trust. You can set up your instruments or your instrumentalities and all your property going into these instrumentalities so that you can safeguard. You can have your own constitutional safeguard or your contractual safeguards in there, or your due process safeguards required in order to strip you of your property rights. But if you know how to contract, you will protect yourself and keep people from being able to deem themselves as a creditor or a creditor vulture to strip you of those rights, because that's what happened. That's why the state wants you to register everything to them so that they, like when you get pulled over by a police officer, the reason why he don't have to get a search warrant, he just have to have probable cause, is through contract. You gave him permission when you signed the driver's license, you got all of that stuff, and you registered your car to the state. They don't have to go by this because you didn't set it up appropriately so that these safeguards and these protections can be in place. That's why they want you to register your house and all of this, file it, and do it a certain way so they can always circumvent your rights. They don't have to abide by the Constitution because the Constitution also can't interfere with the right of a contract. So if we go to the contract clause of the Constitution, you can look that up. Just look up Google, put in the contract clause of the Constitution, and they can't interfere with the right of a contract. Let's keep it pushing. But I want to go back and show you how you need to be coming in. Now, under state law, I want you to remember this. When they said right here, let me go back. It says, but subservient to the public welfare. So you need to understand when you're setting up your public entities, you need to understand how you're coming in. And let me show you that. Now look at this. Uncompensated volunteers of a non-profit charitable organization, no liability. Charitable organization mean any of the following. And it talks about charitable organizations that is organized and operated under 1702. And it talk about volunteer means officer, trustee, or other person who performs a service, charitable, organized, but does not receive compensation either directly or indirectly for those services. A volunteer is not liable in damages in civil actions for injury, death, or loss to person or property that arise from an action or mission of any other officers, employees, trustees, or other volunteers of charitable organization for which the volunteer performs service unless either of the following applies. And they just tell you all of that down here. I'm not going to go over everything, but I'm just letting you know. Look at those who ain't in my state. Look at your state. It's going to be worded a little different, but you need to understand what's going on. And then I'm going to switch it over to the Federal Volunteer Protection Act. The Federal Volunteer Protection Act of 1997, the VPA, or the Act, aimed to promote volunteerism by limiting and in many cases completely eliminating a volunteer risk of tort liability when acting for a nonprofit organization or government entities. No volunteer of a nonprofit organization or government entity shall be liable for harm caused by an act or omission of a volunteer on the behalf of the organization or entity. So when you understand how to set up your trust and you're setting up your public entities, understand what you're doing. This is why you need to come to MUST. We're going to show you how to protect and safeguard yourself by utilizing these protections and these strategies so that you can have these safeguards, these statutory safeguards. You can have these remedies in place for you. Come on, let's keep it pushing. I just want to, I'm not going to make these videos super long, but I just wanted to show you guys how we get down at MUST. Now, here is a confidentiality contract or agreement. And it just talk about some stuff like when you start setting up stuff, you need to have these agreements in there. Confidential or privacy agreements. Just like the HIPAA. A confidentiality agreement. These are things that need to be in place in your entities. When you filing or doing these, constructing these institutions, these are things that need to be in place. That's why I say contract. You got to argue contract. When you talking, everybody's so talking about the secure party creditor process, and which it works, and this is the whole purpose of setting up the trust. But you have to understand how to do it appropriately so that you can have these safeguards. This is Keng El Bey, who went to court, who understand how to deal with the court. Only reason I'm able to understand this in these jurisdictions within my state because I familiarized myself and I know how to execute this. Let's go on. Let's move on. I want to talk about tax because a lot of people don't understand tax. Also, another meaning for tax is servitude. So let's talk about this. Like if you in my state, you need to look at your income tax definitions and see how these taxes work. I'm going to break this down to you because it's one word that I want to show everyone after this, and it's going to boil down to this: when you using someone else's property. So it says add interest, and divide dividends on obligations of any authority, commission, instrumentality. This is what y'all need to look up, this word, instrumentality. Territory, possession of the United States to extend that the interest or dividends are exempt from federal income tax, but not from state income tax. So you got to understand this. I just brought this to your attention, but you need to look at how taxes play out. I can show you going through this statute, you will find some interesting information on taxes, dealing with private property. So you need to, like I said, I combed through very thoroughly through my state statutes to familiarize myself with these jurisdictions and how things can be applied. So you got to appropriate the information. So let's talk about real property again. Let's talk about this. Now, before I go there, I'm going to go here. So a lot of y'all are not conforming to the process when we talk about contracts. So they talk about land contract, but this is going to go for any contract because a deed is a contract, a mortgage is a contract, a land contract, lease, or memorandum of trust. All of these are contracts. And they want you to be in conformities with these rules so that it can be admissible as evidence. Because remember I said before, everything's boiled down to evidence. It says a deed, a mortgage, land contract referred to in this division, A21 of this section of the revised code, lease of any interest in real property, a memorandum of trust as described in Division A, section, I ain't going to read the section of the revised code, signed by the grantor, mortgager, vendor, leaser in the case of a deed, mortgage, land contract, lease, or shall be signed by a trustee in the case of a memorandum of trust. The signing shall be acknowledged by the grantor, mortgager, vendor, or leaser, or by the trustee before a judge, clerk. And I'm gonna skip all of this. It says accounting, engineering, but look at this right here. You can do it by your notary public. I want everybody to understand you can do this by a notary public. So when you setting up properties and you perfecting your claim, you have to do it according to the rules so that you can meet the standard and you can be in conformity with the rules. It says, who shall certify, acknowledge, and subscribe the official name to the certificate of acknowledgement. So we do all of this over here at Must. We show you how to set it up. We show you how to do everything to appropriate the information so that you be in conformity with the rules. So now you can protect yourself. You can learn, and you can learn how to properly move throughout the jurisdiction. Let me move on. Now look at this. Same thing. Acknowledgement of deed, mortgage, land contract, lease, or memorandum. Going back over this same thing. County. Look at this. The same thing. So you need to read these. It says lease of any interest in real property or memorandum of trust. So all of this stuff applies. Just trying to show everyone how to go about utilizing and safeguarding yourself with this information. Everybody don't know how to do this. You know, so that's why when you're talking about perfecting a claim and you're talking about property, you got to understand how this information works. Now let's go down here. Property. The right to possess, use, and enjoy determinate things, either a tract of land or a chattel. The right of ownership. The institution of private property is protected from undue government interference. Once again, private property. I'm going back to this because a lot of more is telling you to argue the Constitution. And if you don't know, you will traverse yourself back into a jurisdiction and you didn't set it up right, and you didn't know how to utilize the rules of civil procedure, the rules of evidence, didn't know how. I did a video earlier on that. So watch that video. And now I'm doing this one. And I'm going to go do part 2 of that first video, but I want to show you guys everything is about private property. It's also termed bundle of rights. You get what I'm saying? It says any external thing over which the right of possessing, use, and enjoyment or exercise. It says in the widest sense, property includes all a person's legal rights. Property is rights. Consider your legal rights. They're also your legal rights. So when you're setting up your trust, you got to understand how to appropriate this information. Nobody is breaking this down. Ain't nobody showing you how to do this. You know, when you boots on the ground, you know you figure this stuff out because eventually the court. And I just want to talk about this because this is where taxes come in. This is where everything comes in at. You cannot, when they contract this stuff out, you cannot unjustly enrich yourself with public benefits and not pay tax. This is what you're going to basically get charged with. This is basically what it is. It's unjust enrichment. The retention of a benefit conferred by another without offering compensation in circumstances where compensation is reasonably expected. Constructive contracts imply in constructive contract a benefit obtained from another not intended as a gift and not legally justifiable, for which the beneficiary must make restitution or recompense. Do you understand? The area of law dealing with unjustifiable benefits of this kind. This is what it boils down to. You know, you got different forms of fraud. Those are concepts, and I talk about there's only a few crimes. I know fraud is one of them, but I'll do another show. I already did a Blog Talk Radio show on that. So y'all guys go to Blog Talk Radio and check me out. Listen to the Keng El Bey show. Check me out on Blog Talk Radio. Let me see. So I'm making this video short just to let you guys know. Just looking at the confidentiality agreement, looking at this, learning how to protect and safeguard yourself, because everything is going to boil down to contract. Like I said again, let me do this for my people who want to get in touch with Keng El Bey. I'm going to break it down for you. I'm boots on the ground. I'm just going to show y'all I'm boots on the ground. I'm solid on this information. I understand this information. I know how to safeguard ourselves. You know, when you come over to us, you know, we teach you. We're going to go beyond. We're gonna be doing some phenomenal things coming in to the end of the year, breaking up until 2020. And from here, finishing up from 2019, we got some remarkable things that we're going to be doing and that we want to share with people who are coming to be our members and want to make life happen. and want to be a part of this. So you could call Keng El Bey at 513-549-7270. 513-549-7270. Hit me up on Facebook. You can go to either my profile, Keng El Bey, or you can go to the Moors Universal Society of Tribes um, Facebook and hit me up. We also got the tribal court. I do a video on that. Um, um, the Must is not a tribal court; it's a family court, and I'm gonna break it down because I already told y'all. If those who've been listening, how you get your sovereignty, you get it from your family. I'm gonna break all of that down. I'm gonna show you how your private rights follow you wherever you go. Your family, your private family rights. I'm gonna pull it out to jurisdictions. I'm going to show you guys. No one else is breaking this down like this. No one is giving you this, gonna give it to you like I'm gonna give it to you. And I'm gonna give you some real solid information. So keeping this video short, this is Keng El Bey. Peace and love. You know, I'm teaching you guys how to protect yourself from government encroachment and how you need to be setting up your entities and how to be protecting yourself. For those who really want to be members of MUST and those who need this help, call Keng El Bey. We're going to put it all together for you. We do it all. We can help you with the UCCs. We can help you privatize yourself, have control over commercial licensing over your entities, over your personality. There's so many things that we can do. We're gonna show. We're gonna be teaching credit. We're gonna show you how to get the credit together. It's so many things and so many elements that we need to be doing as a more society to make these advancements. So anytime you're dealing with contracts, there's always going to be a creditor and debtor relationship. So this is peace and love to everyone who's been following, who's been checking out the Must and the videos. But we finna be dropping fire from here on out. This is Keng El Bey. Peace, love, I'm out.